somebody to tell me they're lying right now, because what the do you mean that I'm not gonna get my SNAP benefits? What the do you mean?
We are possibly going to lose our farm if NRCS doesn't hold up their contract with us on the EQIP program. Because of the executive orders, there's a pause or a freeze on the funding, and they're not able to pay out on the stuff that we completed or anything going forward.
Beyond betrayal. They used us during the campaign. The elected officials from the Republican Party, they actually told us that it was not going to touch the documented people.
I mean, you're an educator. You didn't vote for Trump eliminating federal funds.
No, I did not vote for that. I do not think that's what the voters want. If we have federal cuts, then that's going to mean bigger classroom sizes. I would lose teachers, first and foremost. It's devastating.
You fucked around with your vote, now it's time you found out. Am I the asshole for cutting off my sons financially after they voted for Trump? I, 52 male, have two sons, Isaac, 22 male, and John, 20 male. My wife and I have always leaned left politically, and we've raised our kids to value equality, compassion, and critical thinking. We've had countless family discussions about politics and the impact of policies on people's lives. So you can imagine my shock when I found out after this last election that both of my sons voted for Trump. It came out during a casual family dinner when I asked, "So, who'd you guys vote for?" expecting them to either dodge the question or name one of the candidates aligned with our values. Isaac shrugged and said, "Trump. His policies just make the most sense right now." John chimed in, "Yeah, I mean, he's about protecting the economy. People like us need someone who gets that." I stared at them, stunned. "People like us?" I asked. "Boy, you've never paid for a single tank of gas, let alone rent or tuition. What exactly do you mean by that?" Isaac rolled his eyes. "Dad, I'm studying business. Trump's pro-business. It's not that deep." "It's plenty deep," I snapped. "You're backing someone who's gutted protections for the environment, undermined health care, and actively targeted marginalized communities." John shook his head. "You're just looking at the negatives. He's strong on immigration and keeping jobs here." The conversation spiraled into a heated debate. I couldn't understand how they, having grown up with every advantage I could provide, could support someone who champions policies that harm so many people. That night I thought about how much my wife and I had sacrificed to give them opportunities. I worked extra hours to cover their tuition so they wouldn't have student loans. I paid for their gas, car insurance, and even groceries. And this is what they choose to do with that privilege? A few days later, I told them my decision. "If you want to support Trump's policies, you should also live by them," I said. "From now on, you'll need to cover your own tuition, rent, and living expenses. Maybe then you'll understand the real-world impact of the policies you are endorsing." Isaac was furious. "Are you serious, Dad? You're just cutting us off because we disagree with you politically." "It's not about disagreement," I said firmly. "It's about accountability. You voted for someone who's against student loan forgiveness, so take out loans. You support someone who doesn't believe in raising the minimum wage, so get a job that pays what it pays and figure it out." John looked hurt. "You're being petty. This isn't how you change someone's mind." "This isn't about changing your mind," I replied. "It's about giving you a dose of reality. FAFO ain't just some cool hashtag you and your little friends use. It means there are consequences to your actions. Political choices have consequences. You're adults now. It's time to act like it. You fucked around with your vote, now it's time you found out." My wife thinks I'm being too harsh. She worries this will damage our relationship with them long term. She said, "They're young. They're still figuring out their beliefs." "Beliefs have consequences," I told her. "They made a choice, now they'll learn what that choice means." Some of my friends agree with me, saying it's a fair wake-up call. Others think I'm letting politics come between family and being unnecessarily cruel. So, Am I the asshole for cutting off my sons financially because of their political choices? You know, you got a good point. I don't think you're the asshole. I think you're going to let them find out what they fucked around with, their vote. And voting has consequences.
So Trump supporters, since I know you guys don't read, you don't pay attention either, I just wanted to let you know the Republican Congress is now debating the Republican budget. And I want to remind you, Trump promised you guys there will be no taxes on overtime, no taxes on tips, no taxes on Social Security too. Let me tell you about this budget. There's no mention of a tax-free overtime. There's no mention of tax-free tips. Absolutely no mention of tax-free Social Security. But let me tell you what is in there. Another $4.5 trillion in tax cuts for him and his rich cronies, the top 1%. Don't worry though, because you know who's going to fill that shortage in that gap? It will be you and I, the working class citizens of this country. You ignorant motherfuckers. The only thing that has gone down since Trump has been in office is him on his knees in front of Elon. And all the rest of y'all are lined up behind him, drooling and slobbing at the mouth, ready to get on the knob. Ignorant. All you had to do was crack a book. Crack a book, educate yourselves. But you went in there intentionally to hurt and harm other human beings that did not look like you. I love this. This next 4 years is going to be something else. I went in the house for 2 days and came out. Gas went from $2.99 to $3.19. Inflation is up. That's a fact. Check it. Eggs are up. That's a fact. Check it. Y'all some dumb motherfuckers.
So I did not expect for my last couple videos to cause controversy or, you know, discourse in the comments and things like that, but I feel like I need to address it. First thing, as it related to me wearing one of my line jackets, in the video, just saying who I voted for, I literally put a disclaimer in the beginning of the video and in the caption of a couple of the videos that these are only my thoughts. These are not associated with any organization that I may be a part of. So for those who understand context and can comprehend, that means that even if I am wearing my sorority jacket, or I'm wearing a bracelet, or I'm wearing anything involving my sorority or my HBCU or anything like that, it does not mean that I'm speaking for that as a collective. I'm not speaking for my collective organization or any other organizations that I am a part of. Now, on to the second point. I think that it's very funny how, literally, it's an issue when someone who is a conservative and a part of a Divine Nine organization happens to wear their letters in support of a different candidate, not on behalf of their organization, but on behalf of themselves as an individual who's exercising their right to vote. How when it's a conservative, then that's an issue, but there's literally look up Divine Nine supports Kamala Harris in Google, and you will see that there are people of all organizations that literally have insert sorority or fraternity here for Harris walls, or they're behind Kamala at a rally and they're wearing their paraphernalia with one of her signs. So that's a bit hypocritical to me, and it definitely like irks me because it just shows the hypocrisy that's happening. Like, you're mad at somebody who's a conservative, but if they're not a conservative and they're not voting for a Republican candidate, they can kind of do whatever the hell they want to do. Not to mention people saying that, oh, well, of course they're not going to specifically rally behind a candidate because we are 501c3 organizations, so we cannot publicly or officially endorse anyone. But you have to admit that these organizations are left-leaning, and yes, they are encouraging people to vote, but they're not. It's leaning to the left. Like, if you're blind to that, then I really don't know what to tell you, but it's definitely leaning to the left and it's not leaning to the right. And I voiced my opinion because I already had my line jacket on, and I was explaining how I voted for Trump in my line jacket. And now it's all of these different people in the comments saying this, and that. And I specifically gave the disclaimer even in my first video when I didn't even have any letters on. So there's that. the next issue. People calling me a coon, people saying, oh, Trump would have had you in shackles and chains, saying that I'm a sellout, saying this and that, calling me a house bleep. Like, you're saying that because I don't agree with the politics of the left. And I gave specific reasons because a lot of people like to think, like I said in the other video, I know why I did not vote for Kamala. I had specific reasons. I listed out my morals. I listed out what it is that I agree with. I listed out how I saw my future and my future children's future. And I laid that out on the line. And Kamala's platform does not align with that for me. I also mentioned that Kamala is running her race off of quote unquote reproductive rights, which in my opinion is the equivalent to child sacrifice. And the reason why I said that is because you're literally fighting for the right to your baby, your unborn baby. So if that's what your entire platform is based off of, like, I can't support that because I'm against the A word. So I feel like I have valid reasons as to why I did not vote for Kamala, and I have valid reasons for why I did vote for Trump. And I think that it's really funny how people are saying, well, Trump is a racist. When I know I was ignorant when I felt the type of way, like Biden saying, oh, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. I'm like, well, I'm black as hell, so I need to go ahead and vote for Biden. That was me being ignorant 4 years ago, and nobody seemed to find that racist. In hindsight, it was very racist, and that's why I'm not looking at color. I don't care about identity. I don't care if you're black, white, purple, orange. I don't care if you're a male. I don't care if you're a female. I don't care what you are. I'm voting based off of policy, and if my policies or the policies that are important to me more directly align with the candidate that the media and everybody hates, and everybody loves to hate him, then I'm going to vote for that candidate. I have tried. Anybody who knows me knows, like, I came into this race saying I'm going to vote conservatively. I said that coming in. But I also was objective and wanting to hear what at the time Biden was going to say. And then Biden dropped out of the race. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Let me hear what Kamala has to say, because Kamala was not around during the 4 years. She only came around when it benefited her, or when there was some sort of need, something that they needed from the black community. So I have listened to all of Kamala's interviews. Every single interview, I have listened to Kamala's interview. Every rally that has been televised, I have listened to. Same thing with Trump. Same thing with Harris. Same thing with Tim Walz. Same thing with JD Vance. I have listened to every single interview. I feel like my mind is on freaking like research overload. Not only have I listened to all of the interviews, I have read subsections, all of these Senate bills, these House bills. I have literally been, ask anybody, like my friends, I know y'all gonna watch this, put in a comment. I have literally been watching and engulfing myself in so much knowledge and research over the past like 6 months that it's honestly like ridiculous, and I'm on overload. So if you feel like I'm like uninformed, it took me months, if not years, to get knowledge on this. I even had to watch I didn't watch all of them, but I watched a good majority of Trump's interviews and his rallies that were taken completely out of context. And it made me wonder, well, they were demonizing me for, y'all see my Not Another Tuskegee Experiment shirt on. They criticized me for not getting a vaccine and for being against this and that. And they were willing to lie on people that were like me and all this. Like, I wonder what they lied about as it related to Trump. And with them lying on Trump, I wonder what they defended for Harris and Biden. So y'all in all this discourse in the comments, like, it's truly unnecessary, because I have done my research for what I feel like is best. And as I stated in the other video, I don't agree with 100% of what Trump says. If you believe 100% of what any candidate says, that's a problem. But some things that were important to me was for a candidate not to run their entire race off of babies, unborn babies. I'm not for that. I'm not for gender ideology being taught into schools. I'm not for critical race theory being taught in grade school. And despite what people were saying in the comments, CRT was definitely trying to be passed on a state level in multiple states. So I know in Florida they were trying to pass it here, and that's why DeSantis ended up doing a book ban. And I'm going to talk about that in a different video. Probably I'm going to end up posting it after this, but I'm not mad at him for doing that. On top of that, affirmative action. I don't believe that we should have, I believe that they need to take gender, sex, sexual orientation, take all of that off of whenever you're applying for a job, because it's not necessary. You need to get the job because you're qualified to do the job, not because you're a DEI hire. So affirmative action gone, good. And this is not, I have not always been this way. I went to a HBCU. I was engulfed in the left. I had a black square for BLM. I had all of that. So this isn't something that's like she has always been this way or she's just uninformed. No, it literally took for this to happen for me to wake up. 2020 was literally the year of clarity for me personally. There was so much that happened in 2020. Not only that, me going to another country, seeing how they operated. Not only that, just engulfing myself in research. It was in the middle of lockdowns. It was during COVID. I was isolated in a country. I was isolated in Germany. I had all the time in the world to do research because I was bored as hell. So I said all that to say, before y'all try to demonize somebody, especially somebody that's like me, a young, sophisticated, educated, black, conservative woman, before you come in my comments with the BS, just know that I did my research, and I think that you should do your research a little bit more and, you know, kind of dive into the history of everything that's happening, and then maybe you will have a change of heart.
So if you're in Cape Town and you want to move now to America, you're going to become a refugee, just let me know, please, because like property prices are high here, hey, and we can look after your houses for free. We'll look after your houses while you just move there.
Hi guys, welcome to the channel. For real, you guys are regretting for voting for Donald Trump? Why? This is just the beginning. Some persons are crying that they regret voting for him, and rosaries are getting more expensive, you know. And you know, guys, you ask the immigrant to leave your country, and the fact state that you know that these guys are the one doing the dirty jobs in here. So you just have to take it, whatever you see now. I know it's not easy, but what I pray for is that this man will not end up messing up everything. I think this is a very big disappointment. We didn't see this coming, right? But yeah, it is. We can't do nothing. Let's just keep fighting, trying to talk with him, to fight for our rights, to know if things is going to get better again, because this is unbelievable. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think right there in the comment section. I love you as always. Thank you.
So you think we're better off as black people now than we were before LBJ passed those policies?
Yes, brother. We can vote without the threat of violence. Are you talking about the Civil Rights Act of 1964? Is that what you're describing as a negative thing?
I'm not saying the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was, I'm talking about...
That's LBJ. I just want to be clear. That's LBJ, who you said, were we better off before LBJ? LBJ signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
I'm talking about the war on poverty.
I just want to answer that one. I want to answer that specific one first. Was the Civil Rights Act of 1964 bad thing?
I agree with the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
Thank you.
But at the same time, I'm also, put like this, I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery.
I don't know what that means.
I'd rather deal with the dangerous freedom of not knowing and controlling people with policies as much as possible versus the peaceful slavery of being married and tied to the government.
Given Trump's well-documented history of saying and doing racist things, I wanted to know how these black people could be drawn into Trump's political orbit. I learned a lot about black Republicans, and I think you will too. So with that, let's dig in.